Something happens when God is about to end your waiting season. And it's not what most people think. It doesn't feel like promotion. It doesn't sound like a yes. It doesn't even look like a blessing. It feels like interruption, disruption, and hard silence. It's been months, or maybe years. You've fasted, you've prayed, you've trusted for that healing, for that restoration, for that breakthrough, for that financial door to finally open, and still nothing. Just silence, delay, block after block. Doors that looked open suddenly slammed shut. Opportunities you thought were from God vanished without a trace. The people who stood with you in faith faded. The words you once declared with boldness now feel distant. But somehow, something in you won't quit. You can't explain it, but it's there. A whisper, a nudge, a voice saying, "You're not stuck. You're standing at the edge of something new." Today, we're going to reveal 6 biblical signs that God is ending your waiting season. This isn't hype. This isn't a motivational list. This is biblical. This is real. And it might explain everything you've been feeling lately. Because maybe the wait has been preparation for something closer than you think. This is Bonded Truth, where we break down the forgotten parts of the Bible they never taught in Sunday school. Make sure to like, subscribe, and click the bell icon to stay rooted in sound biblical truth. Let's begin. The first sign God is ending your waiting season is when He removes the thing you thought you couldn't live without. Not gently, not quietly, but suddenly. God starts touching the very thing you were afraid to let go of. The job you thought was your foundation is shaken. The person you idolized pulls away. The plan that made perfect sense gets interrupted. And it hurts deeply. Because you didn't just lose something, you lost what you thought was part of your promise. But hear me, God will never let you settle in a season that He's about to call you out of. So when He starts disrupting what you thought you needed, it's not rejection, it's realignment. Sometimes God has to cut away your plan to protect His promise. John 15:2 says, He prunes every branch that does bear fruit, so that it will be even more fruitful. The pruning is part of your promotion. So if something just got removed, it might not be because it's over. It might be because God is ending the wait and opening the way. The second sign God is ending your waiting season is when opportunities start showing up and you didn't even chase them.
No networking, no emails, no striving. And yet, doors start to creak open. A call you didn't expect. A conversation you didn't plan, a path you didn't request, but it's suddenly right in front of you. You're not striving anymore, you're receiving. Isaiah 43:19 says, "See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it?" That line matters. Do you not perceive it? Because sometimes your answer shows up and it doesn't look like your prayer. God's open doors rarely arrive with flashing lights. They come quietly. And if you're not watching with your spirit, you might walk right past the door you've been crying for. The third sign God is ending your waiting season. You lose the drive to keep praying for something you used to cry over. You're not angry. You're not numb. You're not burned out. You've just been released. God changed your appetite. What once consumed your thoughts no longer moves your emotions. And it's not because it didn't matter. It's because God has whispered to your soul, that's not your door anymore. Philippians 2:13 says, "It is God who works in you, both to will and to act." Sometimes He tells you where to go. Other times, He simply makes you lose the desire to go where you were never called. This is not failure. It's divine redirection. The fourth sign God is ending your waiting season. The attack gets louder, but your spirit gets calmer. You're being tested, tempted, pressed, and yet you're unmoved. Your past would have folded under this pressure, but now you're still standing quietly, firmly, because God used the waiting to deepen your roots. Before Jesus stepped into his assignment, he went through the wilderness, and right at the end, the enemy launched a full attack. But it wasn't a sign of failure. It was proof of what Jesus was about to step into. Luke 4:14 says, "And Jesus returned in the power of the Spirit to Galilee." If the enemy is fighting you hard right now, it might be because he hears the sound of your waiting season ending.
The fifth sign, God is ending your waiting season. You feel Holy Spirit's strength in places where you used to collapse. Your body is tired, but your spirit is clear. Your soul feels stretched, but your joy hasn't disappeared. Your mind is questioning, but your worship is louder than your worry. This is a spiritual shift. Isaiah 40:29 says, "He gives strength to the weary and increases the power of the weak." The same ground that used to trip you now feels like oil beneath your feet. God isn't strengthening you to survive the weight. He's strengthening you to walk out of it. This kind of energy only comes when the season is shifting. The sixth sign, God is ending your waiting season. You begin seeing confirmation before you even ask. You think it, and someone says it. You journal it, and the sermon repeats it. You cry out in secret, and a random video answers your private questions without knowing you exist. This isn't algorithm, it's alignment. Jeremiah 33:3 says, "Call to me, and I will answer you, and tell you great and unsearchable things you do not know." You're not being stalked, you're being confirmed. And when confirmations become a pattern, it's not a coincidence, it's a call. God is no longer whispering comfort, He's declaring it's time to move. So what now? If these signs hit your spirit, don't shake it off. This wasn't just a video, it was a confirmation. And maybe what you thought was a delay was really design. What you thought was wasted time was really warfare training. The waiting season isn't always a place of silence. Sometimes it's a place of setup. And when God gets ready to bring it to an end, He makes sure your spirit is ready to recognize it. The question now is not, "God, are you moving?" The question is, "Child, are you ready to walk?" Right now, in the comments, type, "Lord, I'm ready to walk." That's your altar call. That's your agreement. That's your next step. Then send this to someone who needs to hear. The wait has not been wasted. You're not waiting on God anymore. God is waiting on you to recognize the signs. Let's go.